Okay, what we're going to do now is have a go at creating a cell-based animation using Photoshop. A cell-based animation is one where each of the frames is drawn individually, and then the frames are played back at a fast rate, which means that it looks like the objects that are between those frames are moving, because you'll slightly move the position of each of the objects on the frame between each frame. We're going to use Photoshop to be able to create that. So the first thing we're going to need to do is open Photoshop. So I'll switch across to my display, and then we're going to fire up Photoshop. When you open Photoshop, you'll need to start a new blank animation. You cannot animate anything that's on the background. So what we're going to do is use layers to actually animate, and each of the layers animates individually within the image. So you'll need to have, if you want objects to move independently, they'll need to be on separate layers. Okay, so Photoshop has loaded. So now we're going to go to File, and we're going to choose a new Photoshop file. I have a A4 landscape document that I use fairly regularly, but if you want one of those, you can come across to Print, and then choose A4, and then over here on the right hand side we're going to choose Landscape. Also make sure the measurements are in a unit that you understand, so if it's in points and you want to measure in millimeters, then switch across to millimeters rather than points up top here. And then say create, and so that will then create for you a blank document. So you can see over here, as I was saying, we've got this background. Now the background throughout your animation is going to be static. So everything that you want to put, or everything that you want to animate, needs to be on its own layer. Okay, so we need a couple of things open first of all. So if we go to Window and then come down to our Timeline panel, what that will do is open a timeline across the bottom here. You can see that the button here is saying create a video timeline. We actually want a frame animation, so you can simply click create frame animation, and that's going to give you the option to create a frame animation, and you click that and it'll flick here. Now if you've already got a video animation down the bottom, it's easy to switch. You just come to that little button down in the bottom left hand corner, which can you see that under my camera? Let's move the camera a little bit. Alright, so you can see down here the timeline, and you can see that button in the bottom left hand corner, and that's going to let us switch between a cell-based animation and a video animation. So you can see that's changed it to a video-based animation, and then to switch back to a frame-based animation, you simply come down to that same button again, which has changed its icon, press it, and it will switch across to a frame-based animation. Let's move my camera some way better so we can see that as we're working. Put that down there. Okay, so now what we want to do is put some objects onto our image that we're going to animate. Now, as I said, the background will not animate, so anything you put on here is just your scene that you're animating in front of. To create a new layer, what you need to do is come to the bottom right hand corner in the Layers panel. So this is the Layers panel. Come to the bottom right hand corner and then click that button there to create a new layer. And you can animate this layer, but everything on this layer will animate together. So if you've got multiple objects that you put on one layer, they'll all move together on that layer. So let's just start with a simple bouncing ball. So we're going to go with a square. We're going to grab the ellipse tool, and in the bottom left hand corner we're going to draw our ellipse,